Thank you all for joining us. I'm going to share my screen for a brief moment here. Hold on.
All right. So, looks like you don't have a host. You're alone with me. So, I'm just going to start teaching you stuff and we'll go from there. I guess I should introduce myself because there's no one to introduce me. Hi, I'm Michael Whitehouse, the guy who knows a guy, and I've been asked to talk to you about social media, presumably because you would like to learn about social media. Presumably not because you would like to learn about social media, because I don't imagine there's anyone who doesn't know about social media who actually wants to learn about social media. You want to grow your clubs and you want to learn how to use social media to get more members. Put a 1 in the chat if that is accurate. If I could teach you a strange and bizarre dance that would let you avoid social media but would still get the same result, you'd probably be open to a dance class right now. Is that correct? Awesome. All right. So, to my eye, I'm speaking to two people, Stephen and Annie. If your camera is off, I assume you're not in the room because I run all kinds of virtual events. And if the camera's off, I assume you're washing the dishes or walking the dog or have walked away from the computer. So I encourage you to turn your camera on because while I talk to myself all the time during the day, when I have an audience, I prefer to talk to an audience. It's a lot more fun. So I encourage you to do that. This is going to be a more interactive talk. Now, I could simply spend the next 45 minutes pontificating upon social media and sharing thoughts. And I probably know enough that I could share things that I know that are accurate for the entire 45 minutes and it'd be completely useless to you. That would not be a positive outcome. The best outcome would be I tell you the things that you need to know. So I would like to start by getting an idea of what it is you want to learn. Why are you here? Why did you come to a social media workshop run by some guy from some club in Southeast Connecticut that you probably don't know? So if you would like to either put it in the chat or unmute if you feel like sharing and let me know what inspired you to come here. What are you hoping to get out of this? Do I have any volunteers to share what they're hoping to get out of this training? All right, how to grow the club. Awesome. Also, if you could all put in the chat what your role is. Are you an officer in the club? Are you just a huge fan? Are you,
Yeah, just how to improve our quality of our club,
okay.
which
And
it,
what?
which should help grow it, right?
Yep. And so, what does quality mean to you?
um, just running like a fine-tuned machine, I guess.
Okay. And what does running like a
Um,
fine-tuned machine mean to you?
having a plan and sticking to it.
All right. Um, it's a year from now. You have a plan. You're sticking to it. You got a fine-tuned machine, and you know this because what are the outward effects of having this, of getting this result?
Oh, because existing members aren't leaving and more are coming on board.
All right. So members are staying. New members are coming. That is your definition of success. Sounds like a good definition of success. So how to grow the club, learn better ways to share and connect to a new group of people to possibly join the club. Awesome. All right. So before we talk about social media, it's important to talk about what social media is for, because there are all kinds of things that we say. Thank you, Stephen, for putting yourself on the spot so that I could ask you a bunch of hard, awkward questions. Because a bunch of things we say, like, I want higher club quality, or I want more members, or I want more exposure, and those things all sound great, except you say, so how do we do it? It's unclear. It's like, yeah, exposure. Well, what's exposure actually mean? Exposure to whom? How? What is the purpose? So in the marketing process, people go on a journey from unaware to problem aware to solution aware to product aware to most aware. And so what that basically means is they go from wandering the streets having no idea that they need anything to starting to say, I think I might need something, to I do need something, to who has the thing I need? I should go there. So for example, you are wandering the streets, minding your own business, suddenly you start to feel hungry. And you are now becoming problem aware. You have a problem. You're hungry. Then you become solution aware. You say, there are places that will cook food for me, and if I give them money, they will give me that food. Somebody has that solution exists. Then you become product aware. Ah, Burger King is such a place. Perhaps I should look into a Burger King. That's when you are most aware, and then you'll eventually walk in and buy some food from them. So most people are not walking around thinking, I need Toastmasters. Nobody wakes up at 3 o'clock in the morning and says, I need Toastmasters, because they don't know what it is. And if they did know, they'd go to the Toastmasters website and they'd find a club and they'd go visit, and hopefully they will find the right information and be able to come visit your club. So when we think about what to put on social media, the important thing to think about is who is going to be looking at this social media and how are they going to find it and why do they care? So when we often think of social media much as one would a billboard. So this is going to reach the public. Most social media you are likely to do is not going to reach the public. Social media is a way to reach the mid-tier. So you have the public. Those are people who have no idea what Toastmasters is. They don't know who your club is. They don't know they have a need. You're not going to reach them on social media. In order to do that, you need to build up a substantial following. Building a substantial following takes about 10 hours a week of work. Who would like to put in 10 hours a week into their Toastmasters social media presence? Anybody? No? All right, good, because I'm not going to train you how to do that. And even if you did, your term, if you're VPPR, might be up in June, which is 4 months from now. So even if you do build it up to 500 or 1,000 followers or whatever, the next VPPR probably is not going to carry the baton and keep running. So you need a sustainable strategy. So social media is unlikely to be bringing in people initially. There are some ways to do that, but you are probably already getting some visitors. So show of hands, do you have some visitors coming to your club? All right, you have some visitors coming in. Social media is a follow-up strategy, not necessarily an outreach strategy. Now, it could get outreach, but you want to think about who your audience is, because the random person on the street will respond to a different message than the person who visited your club but is not very active will respond to a different message for the person who is very active in your club. And so you need to be aware of who that audience is. Now, put in the chat if you are currently using social media for your club in any way and what platforms you are using, just so I have an idea of what you're currently doing. And if you're using it, how active? So like we have a Facebook page, but I haven't touched it in a year. You're not using Facebook. You're on Facebook, but you're not using it. But you know, what do you have? Let me get an idea of where you are starting with what you have. So Facebook posting 1 to 2 times a month. All right. And Stephen, what are you putting on Facebook 1 to 2 times a month?
I'm not sure. I'm at the PR or the social media chair. Is that what this meeting was for?
Okay.
Maybe I don't need to be at this meeting. I don't know.
No,
just my observation. That's what I'm seeing posted. You know, just recaps the meeting, or if you have a special speaker, there's an announcement a couple weeks before, stuff like that.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so we got Facebook. Facebook just started with LinkedIn, post about 1 a week, usually about our upcoming meeting. Facebook, not that active. Paid ads for open house, LinkedIn, Eventbrite. Want outreach, trying to use Facebook infrequent because can't figure this out. And Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, but don't know how to use it. Okay. So the first thing I want to think about is what is the purpose of it and how to use it. So in terms of complexity from easiest to hardest, the easiest platforms to use are Facebook and LinkedIn because you can do them mostly with text and a couple pictures. Instagram is pictures, a couple pictures and video. TikTok is all video. YouTube is all video. Video is the most difficult medium to use. So if you're looking to engage, I would recommend starting with the simple ones of Facebook and LinkedIn. And on Facebook and LinkedIn, you're going to want to have a page, and either a page or a group, depends on how you're using it. But the key, before I get ahead of myself to that, the key thing is think about is know the principle of what social media is. So social media is not like a billboard. You can't just put stuff up on it, expect people to respond. You could put up ads, possibly. That is a whole different thing. But the way social media works is you engage in it. So social media is about putting up things that people are going to respond to and then communicating with them. In fact, the most effective way to use social media would be to put up things that people engage with. Engagement means comment, post, comment, like, comment, and share, but especially comments. Because if they say something like, wow, I wish I could speak like that, then you can then comment back and say, have you tried, what's your experience in public speaking? Or would you like to become better? Or send them a private message and say, where it's a great place to learn to speak like that. And so that's really how social media works. So the idea of just posting, hey, our next meeting is on Thursday. It's better than nothing, because someone who says, oh, I wonder when the next Toastmasters Club meets, they will then know it meets next Thursday, and that's good. But you really need reasons to engage them back in. So if we're talking about members, of the club and what they are, what they're hoping to learn, or what they're hoping to get from it, members of the club, they want to feel connected to the club, the things they joined for. They probably joined for fellowship and community, plus they joined to develop their skills. They also like to see themselves. So for inreach, which is the not opposite, but obverse of outreach, reaching into your own members, this is content where they will see what they're looking for. So they'll see pictures of their fellow club members. They'll see pictures of themselves. If you have better speakers, or speakers who want their videos shared, you can take a video of their talk and you can share it. And people might see it. You could share, if you really want to get fancy, you could share excerpts of talks, the best parts. You could share bits of table topics, whatever. Because then people may be excited to see themselves. Asterisk, many newer speakers, which includes about 95% of Toastmasters, don't like watching themselves speak on video because they don't think they're very good. So if your social media is full of videos of your members speaking, unless you're an advanced club, you may find it does not have the desired result of members saying, ooh, I love this social media. You may actually find it makes it more intimidating for them to speak. But so pictures are good. Pictures of having fun, not just pictures of, take a picture of the audience where they're all sitting there watching, right? When I was in Rotary, one of the things that, they pointed out was, don't take pictures of people eating and post it. Nobody cares. So, you want to put up things that are interesting to people. And those two questions tell me that, share with me the knowledge level of social media. So let's black box social media. By which I mean, stop thinking of it as social media, because when you hear social media, you may think, ooh, I don't know how social media works. There is a magic communications device. Let's say it's like a television or a newspaper, whatever you're comfortable with. And you have the power to put content in it so people will see it. Don't worry about the mechanism. You feed content in and people can see it. What is the content that your members, your guests, and your potential guests will want to see? Just think of it that way. Don't think about social media, algorithms, anything else. So if you were not yet a member and you were in the potential target pool of Toastmasters, people who want to be better speakers, what would catch your attention if it somehow came across your awareness? Think that way. Because we overthink, oh, social media and the algorithm, and I need to post, and that's when you get into the weeds. Just think about, what would somebody, if you're going to put a poster up, what would you put on that poster? What would catch someone's attention? And remember what people are looking for. What is a potential Toastmaster looking for? They want to be a better speaker or a better leader, or they want to have friends. Those are basically the three things Toastmasters delivers: speaking skills, leadership skills, friends. That's what Toastmasters does. It's also friends and fun and fellowship, that whole category of things. But there's a whole bunch of places where people can find friends and fellowship. So that's not necessarily Toastmasters' competitive advantage. People come Toastmasters because they want to be a better speaker, they want to be a better leader, and generally it's speaker because people don't think of Toastmasters as a leadership organization until they're in it. So now we're thinking about who the target audience is. This is somebody who is not as good a speaker as they want to, and this is a problem for them. So we think about what makes people buy. There's actually two things that make people buy: acute pain and irrational passion. So acute pain is, I am hungry, I need food now, I'm going to go to the store. Irrational passion is, oh my God, Taylor Swift is so amazing and I need to see her when she comes to town. So it's one of those two things. Toastmasters addresses probably an acute pain, except for a weirdo like me who said, I really like speaking, and oh, if I join Toastmasters, there's an audience every 2 weeks I can get in front of. But that is probably not your main target audience. Your main target audience is people who have the acute pain of, I need to give a toast at my daughter's wedding in 6 months, and I am just going to mumble and babble, and everyone's going to laugh at me. Or last time I did a presentation at work, I nearly got fired because I was so bad at it. That's the acute pain. So you need to think about what would reach people who have that pain. And then once they have visited, once they're aware of what Toastmasters did, what message, what text, video, pictures would get their attention in terms of, make them say, ooh, yeah, I need to get back there. So this is the thing to think about. So what platforms to use for this? One of the easiest to use social media platforms to reach your guests and your members is, why don't you guess? Put that in the chat. Which platform do you think is best to reach your guests and members, including your inactive members? I see Facebook. Any other guesses? WOM. In person. Oh, word of mouth. Okay. So word of mouth has to be, I'm saying something that you can reach out to, that you can send the message, you can directly send the message out through. So the most effective way to engage with your guests and your members is, yes, Kristen, there it is, email. It is email. What? I thought this was about social media. Well, email is something that can reach a whole bunch of people with a message. That sounds like media, kind of social. That's how I use it. That's how I use it in my business to make about $70,000, $80,000 a year just from email. No one reads emails in your club because they are boring. Sorry to be blunt. So there is a saying in the industry that people don't read email anymore. Nobody reads email. Email doesn't work. Email marketing doesn't work. It all just goes in the spam filter. All just goes in the promotions tab. Yeah. If the emails are boring, nobody reads them. Nobody reads emails that are boring. And to all you speakers out there, important news, people don't listen to speakers who are boring either. If you're in front of like a corporate event and you're boring, people are going to go to the bathroom or the bar or any place but that room because people don't like boring things. So instead of sending boring emails, sending emails that are interesting. What will make emails interesting? What does not make emails interesting is boring formatting, is a lot of blocks of walls of text. We talk about vocal variety. The writing equivalent of vocal variety is breaking up your paragraphs. If you just see a wall of text, at an event I hosted today, somebody showed a picture of the Declaration of Independence, which, if anyone's ever seen it, it is literally a block of text. Like, there's no paragraph breaks or anything. It's just a giant rectangle of text. If your email looks like the Declaration of Independence, then it is it's hard to read. But more importantly, what's in it? Is it something that people can read, people want to read? If it's interesting enough, they'll read a block of text. But it has to be something that interests them. So what would interest a Toastmaster, potential Toastmaster? The number one thing that'll interest anyone is their own name. So if somebody spoke, a summary of their talk could be interesting, at least to them. If you do table topics, and you have a list of everyone who spoke at table topics, they're going to see their name on that list if they spoke, and that might be interesting to them. Tips about how to be a better speaker in a very short form, 200 words, might be interesting to them. Upcoming events, stories from members, what's going on in their lives outside. So, think about what you would want to read, because you are in the target audience. If you're a member of your Toastmasters club, then you're in the target audience of members and guests of your Toastmasters club. So if you used to send out the email, but now you don't anymore, and now you don't read it, but they're using the exact same format you used to, nobody read your email either. So you want to write emails that people want to read. A lot of times in marketing, people overthink it. What's the algorithm? What's the process? What's the system? Say interesting things and people pay attention to them. That's it. So one of the things about the emails would be to make the information they want accessible and easy to read. So, things like, when is the next meeting? When is the open house? What's the theme of the next meeting? What are some other clubs near us that you might visit? When's the next contest? Have that in big, bold letters somewhere. So if they're skimming through, they can very quickly, read that. So Christine said, I had 45 TI emails today, only opened 3. So you have TI emails and you have your club emails. Now, possibly, I don't know if let me scroll up to tell me what you do in Toastmasters. Are you in some sort of national role? No. I'm curious where you got 45 TI emails from. But so there's all the things that happen, elsewhere, and then there's your club. So your members should be getting 1 email a week from your club, and your club should be interesting enough they want to read it. Because if they're really excited about it, they're going to want to read that email because it's got information they want. But this is again, break it down to basics. If there's information you want to share with somebody, you want to make it information they want to receive. Now find a mechanism to deliver it. This could be email, it could be Facebook, it could be LinkedIn. The benefit of email is you control it. Now, I do recommend that you have some sort of sending system for email, like MailChimp or Sender.net or something like that, and not just send an email with a bunch of emails in the to field, because then people can't opt out if they don't want to keep getting it. Then you won't necessarily be adding people if they do want to get it. Use proper technology for it. But, train people to read the emails. Send emails that are valuable and interesting and well-written. And, if you're in Toastmasters, you are presumably looking to become a better communicator. Written communication is another important part of communication. So, write interesting emails and train them to read them. Put useful information in there. If you really want to train people, put information in there that's only in the email. And so when someone comes to the meeting, they say, oh, I didn't know about that. Well, it was in the email. Oh, I didn't read it. Maybe you should read it next time, because we're going to put the important information in the email. Read the email. If you're not getting it, let's make sure you have the right email address. Make sure you whitelist the address, do all that stuff so people get the emails. Because that's the thing, is that you're going to have, you're going to have members. You're going to have members, you need to communicate with them, and you're going to have guests, you need to communicate with them. So this is most valuable, and you definitely want to do that. So Christine would like to talk about Facebook. So Facebook, here's the problem with Facebook. Facebook is about engagement, and engagement drives engagement. So it's very hard to make a small group on Facebook because it's not big enough. to drive the engagement to push it onto anyone's feed. And it's very hard to do a small page on Facebook because you don't have enough engagement to push it onto anyone's feed. So you can make a Facebook page and it will look very nice and have lovely content. And you'll feel very good about yourself when you show off your lovely Facebook page. And it will do all kinds of things to make you look like a wonderful VP of PR, because look how beautiful the Facebook page is. However, you'll be subject to the algorithm, and you'll need to engage with it. So I will speak briefly as to who is on which platforms. Your target audience is people who want to be better speakers. People who want to be better speakers are generally aged 25 to 75, male and female, making between $10,000 and $500,000. So they're everywhere. They're on TikTok, they're on Instagram, they're on Facebook, they're on LinkedIn, they're on YouTube, they're everywhere. But what you want to do is go on the platform that you're most comfortable engaging on. So they're on Pinterest. I don't even know how Pinterest works, but if you do, by all means, get on Pinterest. Reddit, Discord. Discord's not a social media. Reddit is, though. So all these platforms can reach the people, but it's a question of which platform can you do it most effectively. So how do we get the club in the algorithms? So it's based on engagement. And that means that, yes, the Reddit subthread for Toastmasters is an interesting place. I imagine the Reddit subthread for most things is an interesting place. So the way that you would push the algorithms, this is true for Facebook and LinkedIn, is all your members need to be on board. So I asked Stephen earlier, and Stephen, not to put you on the spot, but you keep saying things. So I keep using an example. So thanks. I appreciate you taking one for the team.
Hey, this is where we could practice, right? There's no penalties for screwing up here. This is
Absolutely.
our real job, so
Love it.
why not?
So I asked Stephen, what does your group post on Facebook? And he says, I don't know. I don't do it anymore. If your members don't know what you're posting on Facebook, then you're not going to push the algorithms because your members aren't even seeing it.
I just looked it up. We post about once a month.
All right.
An open house announcement. I saw one. Results of a speech contest I saw on LinkedIn.
Okay.
The other one was Facebook. And so it's only about one post a month with no one else engaging at all.
Yeah. So what you need to do if you want to push the algorithm, if you really want to, your entire club needs to be involved in this. You need to make a post and let your club know when you're going to make the post. And then they all have to comment meaningfully and like the post and share it. Now, this means you need better content, because if it's just, we're having a contest, I mean, I guess you could share that, but the content that's really going to work is, questions can work, like, what are you most afraid of with public speaking or something like that? But, also stories, videos, things like that. And so if everyone engages within the first hour, now here's the trick. You might say, oh, great, we'll just do it at the meeting. Facebook geolocates you. It will know you're all in the same room. And it knows what you're trying to do. So it might still work, but probably not as well. So ideally, you want to do it when everyone is at home on their computers. Don't coordinate through Facebook Messenger either, because Facebook spies on you. So, but the way you need to do it is to have all the members actively engaging, following the page, and then actively pushing it out. But you will very quickly discover your content needs to be better when that happens, because all your members will say, what is this? What am I sharing? So it needs to be something where someone's proud to share it out, and they can say, hey, check this out. Or, hey, check out this talk I did. I think I did pretty well. Stephen, go ahead.
Can we or should we use AI to make it more interesting?
How would you use AI to make it more interesting?
I don't know. I'm amazed at how human-like AI is. When asked to solve work-related issues, like we have our own private AI place at work, which I can't talk too much about or I'll get in trouble, but basically it's private for our business.
Yeah.
Because I work for a large business, so I can make that known, GE Veranova. There's public AI that goes out to the cloud, and there's a lot of public AI sites, and you could just say something like, you know, read this agenda for our next meeting and make an interesting advertisement
Yeah.
describing it. And you wouldn't believe the results you get. They look almost like they came out of a professional ad agency.
Yeah, so you can use AI. It is best to use AI to come up with ideas and concepts and not to have AI actually do the thing. Because while AI is remarkably human-like, if you know what you're looking at, you can see it from a mile away. But you can ask AI, hey, I need ideas for what to post on our Toastmasters, Facebook page. Don't have it write it for you, but have it give you the ideas. Because some of the ideas will be like, give me how about pictures of your club doing a special theme night? Or how about, clips of funnier table topics or something like that. No, AI is a great tool. But the thing is, anytime AI does something, once you become familiar with it, you recognize AI. So like AI posts, there's certain styles that AI has in writing, and you can tell it to write as if it was a human, and it will write as an AI writing as a human.
My favorite line opener is, well, my least favorite tip off is, "Hello, Mr. Whatever. I hope this email finds you well." It's like,
Hilariously, I used to do that until AI came around, and I had to stop using it because people thought I was AI. No, I actually.
Who talks like that?
I did.
Who talk? He says,
talk
"I
like
hope this
that.
finds you well." I mean,
I used to say
my
that.
priest. That's about it.
Yeah, I used to use that phrase. I did.
Okay,
Until AI
cool.
came
Well,
along. I
you're
had
a
to stop
rare
using it.
exception. Good for you.
We're glad you're a human.
Yep, I'm that guy. But yes, so you can certainly use AI for ideas. You can also use AI, by the way, for table topics questions. Because when I was contest master, I did not realize I was supposed to come up with the questions. And they said, you have the questions for table topics contest, right? And I was like, no, but I will. I need 2 questions for a table topics contest. Boop, boop. Because that's a simple application. Because there's all kinds of websites out there that have 500 examples of table topics questions. But yeah, so it'll give you the ideas, but then take it and execute it yourself as a human. And a lot of it's going to be things like share these pictures from your club, or share this from your club, or that from your club. And again, you want to make it look fun. You don't want to make it look boring or scary. If you have a speaker who's really, really good and you share their video, then it's intimidating. If you have a speaker who's really, really bad and you share their video, then people are like, well, I don't want to be like that guy. But if they're having a lot of fun, if you have some kind of ridiculous table topic, like, I don't know, explain politics in Pig Latin, or something really silly where everyone's going to be laughing, take a video of that and share that video. Those kind of things where people are going to see it being fun. But yeah, no, AI is a great source of ideas to get those out there. Jamie asked, related to TI, what can be posted without getting into trouble? I don't think TI has a lot of rules about what can and can't be posted. And beyond that, I don't think they're really picky, because I think they want TI stuff to get out. And I think this is a better to ask forgiveness than permission situation. They're not going to decharter your club because you posted something on Facebook. So, because they're trying to help. That is their job. And so, don't let that. And if you do something wrong, they will send you an email or a message or whatever and be like, please don't do that again. And you'll say, oops, sorry. So, they're not going to sue you, because it'd be pretty bad look for TI to sue one of their own members. Not that they could, but they're at worst, you'll get, someone will reach out to you and be like, hey, yeah, your post on Facebook, I love what you're doing and what you're trying to, and I see that, but if you could just not do that thing, like, that's the worst that'll happen, within reason, of course. But, keep out, most TI things are out there in public. Yes. Yeah, protect the brand, use the right colors. If you're going to be using the logo, then go on the website and find the proper brand logo. But again, if you use the wrong logo, they're going to email you and be like, hey, you're using the wrong logo. Could you use the right logo? Here's the link to it. So, and there it is, the brand portal right there. Thanks, James. So there you go. Use those proper logos. But yeah, definitely don't let that hold you back. So if you do want to goose the algorithm, then that's a matter of getting your members to all engage with it and get excited about it. But here's the main thing with social media and with anything you're doing is it's very hard for one member to carry it. So most of the members don't have to do much work. They just have to comment, and you don't even have to necessarily do it all at once. I think it's more impactful if it's within like an hour or 2 hours of posting. But if it's just, hey, I'm going to post something on the page every Thursday. If you guys could check the page on Thursday or Friday and engage with it, that would be great. The ideal posting cadence for social media is daily. So can you get up to daily? Probably not. If you can, that's great. That would be awesome. But so when people are thinking about like, oh yeah, I post once a month. Okay, that's good. That's better than nothing. But don't think that you're really doing social media. And the reason I say that is that when you're thinking about your general outreach strategy, social media is or is not part of that. And you don't want to be saying, oh, we do all kinds of things. We have a Facebook page and a LinkedIn page, and we've got an Instagram, and we send out emails. So we do a lot of promotion. But we never post on LinkedIn. We post on Facebook once a month. We don't do anything on Instagram. And our email list is a block of text talking about the next meeting and what time it's going to be and haranguing people for not taking roles. So it sounds like you're doing a lot, but simply having a Facebook page and not putting much on it is not fully engaging with it. So it really comes down to it really comes down to being fully engaged and committed to it. So provide table topics around the theme of Valentine's Day. So that's the thing that AI can do. So the other thing to think about with content is there's all kinds of Toastmasters content out there in the world that is not your club's content. So if you want content, there's a lot of educational Toastmasters material out there that you can share. You can Google speaking advice for new speakers, find blogs, share them on a Facebook page. There's probably infographics out there, share those on whatever the platform is. So put out content that's going to be interesting. So start from who is the audience you want to reach? What do they want to see? Then find what's interesting for them, put that on the social media platforms, and then encourage your audiences to promote that, push it out, share it. And then once people are in, use email to continue to engage with them. Because that's the thing is that generally the strategy which is taught to bring people in is the VPPR finds people somehow with flyers or with Meetup. And by the way, meetup.com across the board, I've heard to be the most effective passive way to get people to show up. Because Meetup is something you can set it up, set your meeting up as recurring, and forget it's there. I don't know who has the login to our Meetup anymore. And we still get, a visitor a month on average, and nobody does anything with it. So meetup.com is a great place. I think it might cost $5 or $10 a month or something like that. But it is as effective as Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram combined for most clubs who use it.
Eventbrite is free.
Is it free to host a meeting?
Yeah, you put on your ad.
Okay, even better.
I put them in for a full year ahead of time.
Okay.
But our VP PR lady, who was an expert, said you shouldn't put them all in at one time. You should put, just a couple so that Eventbrite thinks it's something special.
Okay.
And that way you can also put in more information about what the exact meeting's about. And then we hooked up with our town so that our town has an events in Bethel page on the town webpage, and they pull in everything from Eventbrite.
Okay, awesome.
So
Eventbrite or Meetup?
Eventbrite.
Okay, So Eventbrite's also good. Meetup, I think, I'm not familiar with Eventbrite, but it's certainly it obviously works because it's working for you. Meetup.com I know works like nationally across the board because people can go into Meetup and search for, you know, speaking groups or speaking practice or whatnot. But yeah, so Eventbrite is free. So do what Annie's doing. Get on Eventbrite, and as she just said, post, you know, once a month, go in and put your stuff in, or every 2 weeks or whatever. So that's really cool. Thank you for sharing that. That's a platform I think of Eventbrite as a ticket selling site. I didn't realize it was an event listing site. So.
Yeah, you could say, here's 50 tickets for our next meeting, you know? But if people see all those tickets available, they're going to say, oh, I don't need to grab one now because I'll just wait 5 minutes before the meeting. They'll typically forget.
Yep.
But if you say there's only 5 tickets, get them now, you
Yep.
know, then maybe that'll speed it up. What happens when
Yeah.
you run out of 5 tickets? Well, maybe next meeting you put 10 tickets up. I don't know.
Yep. And Jamie, I do see your comment. I'm going to touch on that in a second. But so the strategy gets them in somehow, whatever it is. They see the meeting, you have them sign the guest book, and then the VP of membership's job is to follow up with them and call them on the phone. Hey, what did you think? Do you want to come back? What do you think? And this works, but some people, they come in February and then they go on a cruise in March, and then in April, maybe they're interested in coming back. And it's really hard to follow up manually with someone who's not ready to join immediately, because you have to actually like call them up every few weeks and be like, hey, I just want to check in now. This is where email is awesome, because you can add them to your club email list, which is interesting and not boring and shares the fun, cool things happening in the meeting, and then it will drip on them. So they'll get this email for the club they visited, which hopefully they had a good experience with, which that's up to the president of the VPE to make the experience good, because there's this whole process through. Yeah, if you haven't thought about it this way, there's a handoff process of recruitment. It's VPPR to VPM to VPE, and then the president oversees and the sergeant at arms sets it up. So, you know, it's one to the next when you think of it that way. But the email list is a really effective way to keep present with them, because it's way easier to get someone who has visited your club once to come back to join your club than someone who's never heard of your club to come to your club. So if they already come, stay engaged with them in that way. This is also where a Facebook group can work, but you run into the algorithm problem with very small groups. So you can create a Facebook group for your club where you invite anyone who comes to visit to the club. Same thing. You share the content in there. Any member of a group can post in a group. But the problem is somebody makes a post and nobody sees it. So nobody sees it because the group is so small, because you only have 14 members in the group. So that is a challenge with groups, but it doesn't hurt to try to set it up and get it going if you have people who are on social media. So Jane mentioned the question of finding the right audience because they're 25 to 75. So there are, most people are familiar with the concept of demographics: age, race, gender, income. But what is important in marketing is psychographics. That is what people have. That's how people think. It's writing about crazy people. Psychographics. No, psychographics is dividing people by how they think as opposed to those specific traits. So there's people in our club, which is not a huge club. You know, we have men, we have women, we have, I think our oldest member is 70 something and our youngest member is 30 something. But what they have in common is they want to become better speakers, and they are somewhere along the speaking journey. So the psychographic is they are not as good of a speaker as they want to be, and they want to be better. That's the basic psychographic of a Toastmaster. And they may have different reasons for it. They could be a 30-year-old woman who is uncomfortable answering questions, giving a presentation. And so she feels her career is held back. She wants to be better on her feet answering questions. It could be a 50-year-old man whose daughter's about to get married, and he's going to need to give a speech. He's going to need to give a speech at her wedding, and he's not comfortable doing that, and he wants more confidence doing that. It could be a 70-year-old who's retired and wants to refine a skill that they always wish they had. But what those all have in common is they are not as good of a speaker as they want to be, and they want to find a place to get better. So when you think of it that way, now you're speaking to people who don't speak as well as they'd like to, and you can help them with that. One of the best piece of media, if you have it, is if you have before and after. If you have videos of one of your members speaking 8 years ago and today, and you could create a video that's side by side, not side by side speaking at the same time, that would be kind of hard to watch. But that's a like before Toastmasters, before and after, 2016, 2024. And so we say, oh, wow. You know, now most of you probably don't have videos of your members from many, many years ago when they were much, much worse speakers. But if you do, that's phenomenal content, because that really shows what they're looking for. They want to see someone who was really bad and now they're really good. So, you know, that demonstrates what they're looking for as well. But, you know, in terms of who you're looking for, always think about the psychographic, think about the need they're trying to solve, the problem they're trying to solve, and what they're trying to do. So in terms of social media, you want to create content that's going to be interesting to people. You want to do it in a way that you're going to be able to maintain, and you're going to be able to hand off to someone else who will be able to maintain it. And you want to do it on platforms that you are familiar with and comfortable with to get on there. And by the way, if you have a club where no one in the club's on social media, you don't have to use social media. And this is a very important thing that I'm going to say now, 50 minutes into a talk on social media, that some will be like, why am I still here? Yeah. If you're like, I don't know how we're going to do this. And so I made a conscious decision to not come in here and say, this is what Facebook is and who the audience is, and this is what LinkedIn is and who the audience is, because I could totally have dumped all kinds of knowledge on you. And you said, wow, that Michael Whitehouse is very smart about social media. I am so glad he gave us a talk. And then you would do nothing with it, because knowledge, knowledge that action is just trivia. And so instead, I want to touch on how social media applies to Toastmasters and how to use it philosophically. And so if you come out of this and just start putting more interesting content onto your Facebook page or more interesting content into your emails, but you don't do anything else, that is more useful than having an encyclopedic knowledge of which demographics are on which platforms. Because, ignorance on fire is better than knowledge on ice. That's what Dr. Ivan Meisner from BNI says. So the key thing is to figure out what you want to do, or what your club's willing to do, and then lean into that. What is your club good at? And lean into that. So if none of you are on social, because I think someone said no one in our club's on social media. Well, social media is probably not a great strategy for you to recruit people, because you're going to, anyone ever seen, some of you are on social media, may have seen the meme of, I can't remember what movie it's from, but Steve Buscemi walking through the high school saying, hello, fellow kids. Anyone know what I'm talking about? Liz knows what I'm talking about. Yeah. It's a middle-aged man walking through a high school dressed like a high school kid saying, hello, fellow kids. That's the vibe you give off if you're not on social media and you come onto social media and try to engage it. Because it's not your place. It's not your environment. Now, if you want to expand your comfort zone and push into something uncomfortable, as Toastmasters are wont to do, then by all means do that. But if you want an effective marketing strategy, then the best thing to do is find platforms where you are comfortable. Because here's the other thing. If no one in your club's on social media, and you somehow force your way into Facebook and somehow manage to set something up that attracts someone, what is the chance the person you attract is going to join your club? If they are social media native and none of you even have Facebook accounts, do you think you might have some other psychographic differences? Do you think you might have some differences in hobbies, age, background, such that you might not be a fit? So, think about the things your members are engaged in, and how they're engaging with the world. And that is the place you want to lean into. So that's what that strength is. Think of social media as more than just Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and think of it as places where socialization happens. Social media is just, social media is is just a platform for that to occur. So Christine said they would be the next VPPR. Yes, I was that guy. And let me tell you the story of what happens. So I became an officer 5 minutes before I became a member officially. I mean, I'd signed up, but I happened to join the day the elections were occurring, and the elections were running late. So as soon as we were elected, we were the officers. And so they did that first, and they said VPPR. And I was like, and one of the members said, Michael. And I said, what? Huh? What? Who? I guess so. I mean, I don't want to step on anyone's feet. They said, it's been vacant for 3 years. You can't step on anyone's feet. And I said, great, sure, VPPR, I'm in. And what happened was that I created a Facebook page eventually. There's a funny story about why it's the Mystic Toastmasters Facebook page for the Mystic Aquarium Toastmasters, because we couldn't use the word aquarium because of the Mystic Aquarium branding, whole different thing. But so I created a Facebook page, I put some content on it, I did some stuff, and nothing came of it. Because the VPPR cannot work alone. They have to be immersed in the vibe of the club and then be executing, delivering that vibe. So, the useful things I did was get our flyers printed and have sources for that. And then our members put flyers around town. That's what brought people in. But the Facebook stuff didn't, because it wasn't the club's Facebook page. It was my Facebook page that had the club's name on it. And so what's more important than any of these strategies of which social media platform, this or that, what's most important is that it carries the energy of the club to the people who will be receptive to the energy of the club. And that you'll get those kinds of people. It is a club. And also, we're not talking about a club of 100 people, I assume. Anyone have 100 people in their club? So if your Toastmasters club is like most, you've got, 8, 12, 15 people showing up? That's a pretty tight-knit group. If somebody shows up and they're very different from that group, they're not necessarily going to fit into it. So you want to have alignment. So the social media platforms that you're on and familiar with, those are the ones that you should be using. And then lean in. Now, if you're on Facebook and you've only used it personally and you've never used it professionally, then yeah, then you might want to study on building a page, and it's very straightforward to create a page. I think there's I haven't created a page in a while. Somewhere it says create page, and then it asks you a bunch of things like what's your logo, and give me a cover image, and give me a description. And creating a page is fairly simple to actually do, and then just put content up on that page. That's not the important part. The important part is being aligned with what you're doing and doing something that you're comfortable with and excited about. If you're not excited about that, energy is going to come through. If you're saying, I'm making this Facebook page because I've got to do it, or I'm the VPPR this time, so I drew the short straw and I get to manage the Facebook page, that's the energy that page is going to carry. As opposed to, hey, here's a new tool I can use to share my favorite club with the world. If you got that energy, then it's going to work, because then you're going to be excited. I post on Facebook personally 3 or 4 times a day, and LinkedIn once or twice, because I have something to say and I want to share it. So it works. My email list to my business audience is daily, because I have something to say to them every day, because I'm excited to share it. And that's what comes across. So you need to have that excitement and that enthusiasm for what you're doing. Otherwise it's going to come through. Steven, go ahead.
Yeah, earlier in the meeting, you said you get on the algorithm by bombing Facebook. You're talking if you say we have a club of 15 members, say a dozen of us, if we can get a dozen to bomb it, would we do that once a week at 5 o'clock Wednesdays, 7 o'clock Wednesday nights, or does it have to be more often or less often? What works best?
Well,
with
so
that algorithm?
ideally, what you want is first, post good content.
Yeah.
And then second, engage with every piece of content as it comes along.
Okay, meaningfully.
Yes.
So you can tell them ahead of time what the topic's going to be about. You tell them a day or two ahead of time. Say, think of something meaningful to copy paste in there.
Well, and meaningful is 2 sentences. Meaningful doesn't mean they have to write an essay about it,
Right,
but
right.
meaningful is just And you know, you could,
Yeah.
so one way you just use questions.
Yeah.
Like you post there, you know, what do you like best about table topics?
Right. Meaningful, but don't make it sound AI generated. Got
Yeah.
it. All right.
Yeah. Prompting questions could be AI generated.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Not
you
the
could ask it
responses.
like
Okay.
what are some conversation starters I can
Yep.
get going? Because that's the thing too, like it can become a water cooler for your club. You
Yep.
post a question like, what's your favorite type of, or what's been, you know, what's your favorite theme day that we do? You know, what should our next theme meeting be? That kind of thing. Steven, you're muted.
I guess we just tried it at first one night a week. We'd be posting more often than 95% of all Toastmasters clubs on Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. But yeah, and that's actually as I sort of just came up with this answer on the spot, but use prompting questions to prompt your own members to engage on it, which has the dual purpose of, you know, you could also ask like, what's your favorite functionary role to be?
Right.
Because then when Jamie says, oh, I love being the odd counter, and then you look and you're like, well, you know, we don't have an odd counter for next week. So funny you should mention that. Your dreams are going to come true. So, you know, your VP could be watching that and seeing what everyone says their favorite role is.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, ask those questions and make them prompt. And actually, as I'm thinking about it, I'm really glad you asked this question because, you know, sometimes questions this is a great example of what I'm talking about. Sometimes questions prompt really good ideas. You could use the prompt questions for your Facebook page as a form of group discussion and tell your members that, like, this is not about promotion. This is about having a useful conversation that will also serve promotion. Because imagine you're a prospective member and you stumble across Talk Me Up Toastmasters. I'm assuming that's your club. Talk Me Up Toastmasters Facebook page, and you see a post, and on the post is what's your favorite theme night, and there's 9 comments from members saying, oh, my favorite was the April Fool's Day. Well, my favorite was Thanksgiving. That was amazing. My favorite was the Grammys. And they're like, wow, those all sound really fun. I wonder when the next one is. Because
I'm guessing LinkedIn has a similar algorithm, so we could try it there too.
Yeah, LinkedIn similarly driven by activity. And you can create. So company pages are less common on LinkedIn than they are on Facebook because they're a newer thing, but you can create a company page for LinkedIn. I don't remember how, but Ask Copilot will tell you. So you seem to work in tech, so I think you know how to figure that out. But yeah, I'm sure it's, you know, create page, fill it stuff. But yeah, same kind of idea. You can do it on LinkedIn, same idea. And again, the same principle applies, that you make that post, people comment on it, somebody stumbles across it, and they're gonna be like, look at all this engagement. And, oh, I think these are members commenting on it. I kind of want to be in this. Because that's part of the challenge too, you know, pulling back to kind of a bigger Toastmasters picture is, you know, it's similar to the challenge that people are trying to bring someone to church. You know, you bring someone to church and they're like, all right, yeah, they're singing some hymns and we're eating some bread, and like, what just happened? You know, and you're like, oh, didn't you feel the energy and the spirit? And you're like, no, I felt confused, and there was an organ, and I don't know what's going on. You know, there was clapping, there was handshaking, somebody said a lot.
And then you sit down sometimes, you stand up, you kneel. It's like, you know, with no prompts at all, I was like totally confused.
Yep. And most Toastmasters are pretty good about here's the agenda and explaining how it works. But even still, a first-time guest who's never been to Toastmasters, they're more likely to find it confusing than exciting. But if they're seeing your members being engaged online, then they're going to see that and be like, all right, there's something going on here. I may not know what's going on. It's kind of like when I was watching the halftime show at the Super Bowl. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. There's something going on here, and I look forward to finding out what it is. You know, your social media presence should have that, you know, could have that energy if you get your members engaged. There's something going on. I visited the club. I wasn't quite sure what was going on. I see what's in these comments. Something going on. I want to get in far enough to see what's happening. I want to get into that kind of action. And that's the place you can use it. James.
Michael, we are at 9 o'clock. And
Oh,
I want to
yes,
be respectful of all of our audience's time. Thank you very much for sharing. I'm going to offer you saying, okay, would you like 1 or 2 minutes to offer, we'll just say, closing thoughts, summarizing some of the items that you've already presented. And as you close, you can offer your own contact information.
Sure. I'll put my email in the chat here. So that's my contact information. So I guess my closing thoughts on this are that social media is a tool, like any other tool. There's nothing magical about it. It happens to be the most cost-effective way to reach the most people that humanity's ever seen, which is part of why people talk about it and it's so exciting. But it is just a tool like any other tool. It is like flyers. It is like billboards. It is like knocking on doors and handing out pieces of paper. And so it is good to use if you're going to be all in to use it, but if you hate it, that energy is going to come across. So find something you're comfortable with, find something you like, lean into that, and then use that to build your club. Because remember, Toastmasters is all volunteers. We do this because we like it. So you should do things that you enjoy and then share that enjoyment with others, because that's what's going to attract people to want to be part of it. So thank you for your time and your attention. I hope you found it interesting and engaging, and most of you are still here, so it couldn't have been that bad. And if you want to reach me, my email address is michael.g.whitehouse@gmail.com, and I put it in the chat for you there. So thank you all for your attention.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Michael. This Club Excellence series continues on the second Tuesday of each month at 8 p.m. on Zoom. Thank you for registering for this evening's presentation. Thank you, Michael, for presenting that very good and helpful information about how to use social media. There will be another meeting on the second Tuesday of March and April, and also on the first Tuesday in May. We invite you to come back to get more helpful information for your clubs. Thank you, everyone, for attending. If you have more questions and would like to engage with Michael, perhaps he has a couple more minutes to engage with people who have questions. But if not, I want to say thank you very much for everyone who joined, and we look forward to seeing you on another Club Excellence meeting in the coming months. Thank you, everyone.
Do you have more minutes if people want to ask questions? So
Yes, I have more minutes, but if people have more questions, please, Michael is available for answering questions.
I gotta run. Thanks for having me. Good job.
thank you.
I also have to run. Michael,
Okay.
good seeing you again. Nice talk tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone? Bueller?
I'll just say thank you. I have to run too.
Okay.
Thank you, Annie, for sharing your perspective.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Good
All
night.
right. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. Bye.